£16,685. That's what this landlord was ordered to pay back for running an unlicensed HMO. 4 tenants brought the case after living in the property between 2022 and 2024. What they described goes beyond poor management. They said the landlord entered the property unannounced and went further. Bedroom locks were tampered with, rooms accessed, no notice, no consent. At times, tenants were denied access to their own living space, while it was used for the landlord's personal guests. Inside the property, conditions were deteriorating. Persistent mold, no working central heating for months, reports of cockroaches, and a lack of basic fire safety, including missing alarms. Complaints were made, but key issues were not resolved. And at the center of this case, the property was being operated as a house in multiple occupation, an HMO, without a license. In England, operating an unlicensed HMO is a criminal offence under Section 72 of the Housing Act 2004. Damp and mould is a Category 1 hazard. And with more recent changes, including Awab's law, there's now an even greater focus on how quickly issues like damp and mould must be addressed. Local authorities can investigate and take enforcement action. And the consequences are serious: unlimited fines, criminal records, and orders to repay rent. As of May 2026, liability can extend beyond the immediate landlord. Superior landlords and freeholders can also be held responsible, facing the same penalties and repayment orders. In this case, the tribunal heard that if the property had been properly licensed, failures such as heating, fire safety, and severe mold would have required urgent action. But no license was in place, and no reasonable excuse was provided. The landlord did not attend the hearing, no defense was submitted, the tribunal found the breaches proven, and the outcome was decisive. A rent repayment order, awarding tenants 90% of the maximum available, £16,685 to be repaid. This case also highlights the other side of the system, where tenants don't just experience poor conditions, they take action. Under the Housing and Planning Act 2016, tenants can apply for a rent repayment order if a landlord commits certain offences. That includes operating an unlicensed HMO, failing to comply with enforcement notices, harassment, illegal eviction, or using force to gain entry. The process is evidence-based. Tenants must show the offence occurred, that rent was paid, and that they legally occupied the property. Evidence can include bank statements, tenancy agreements, and confirmation from the local authority that no licence existed. Applications are made to the First-tier Tribunal and must usually be brought within 12 months. If successful, up to 12 months' rent can be repaid. In this case, nearly the full amount. And this sits within a wider shift. The Renters' Rights Act 2025 UK does not change HMO licensing rules directly, but it reshapes the wider system. The end of Section 21, the move away from fixed-term tenancies, greater reliance on enforcement and evidence. And for HMO landlords, where regulation is already tighter, those pressures are often felt more sharply. This isn't just about one property, it's about compliance, accountability, and what happens when legal obligations are ignored. Because in today's rental market, the rules are clear, and the consequences of getting them wrong are harder to avoid. Thank you for watching Tenancy Talk.